Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Rosalind, many call me Rose. And if you've ever lost a spouse, a home, a job, or just found yourself starting over in life, something that you never thought would happen, you're not alone. I've been there. And that's why I created this space, because no one talks enough about what happens after everything changes. But we're here to talk about that now. So let me give you a little bit of my personal story so that you'll know more about me. So for those of you who know me, know that I was married, raising a family, building a life until it all changed. And this was like a Saturday. I think it was just before Katrina, or maybe Katrina had just hit. But that Saturday morning, we woke up and we decided that we would go and run some errands. My two younger ones, I had a 8-year-old and a 10-month-old, and then I had a 19-year-old. My 19-year-old was out and about somewhere else. But so I just had the two younger ones. And so we went out and we ran our errands and all. But we came back home and my husband said, "My head is hurting." And I said, "Oh, just take some Tylenol. You'll feel better." And so he did. And he decided that he would go ahead and take his shower and get ready for bed. So he went in and he took the shower. And then he came out running and hollering and jumping on the bed, trying to get to the fan where he can get some air. And he was like, "Oh, my head is hurting. My head is hurting. Call the paramedics. Call the paramedics. My head is hurting." And I was like, why is he being so dramatic? What in the world? So I said, okay, this clown has never done anything like this. Let me just call the paramedics, have them come out, check him out. So I did. Well, the paramedics came out and they checked him out and they said that his blood pressure was high. And so they asked if we wanted them to take him to the hospital. And we were like, yeah, go ahead, take him. If his blood pressure is high, yeah, we want you to take him. So anyway, they took him. And before I left, as I stated, I had two smaller children. And so I had to prepare to take them. But before I left, I decided to make two phone calls. I made a phone call to my brother, and I made a phone call to one of my best friends. And then we left and we went to the hospital. Well, when we got to the hospital, there was a lobby full, and I mean full, of friends and family who had come down to support me. And that was very, very, very kind. But I was sitting there and I was like, okay, since they're here, let me give them the two smaller ones. And I proceeded to go to the back to find out what was going on with my husband. So they did let me back, and I got back there, and he was laying there, and he said, "Can you get me some water? My mouth is really, really dry." And I said, "Okay, let me go find a nurse." So I went to go and find a nurse, but as I stepped out, the doctor saw me, and he was like, "Who is she? Get her out of here. Get her out of here." And I was like, "What? I don't know you, man. What you doing?" So then as I was walking down the hallway, there were some medevac or helicopter people coming through the door with a stretcher. And I didn't think anything of it. I was just like, oh, they're coming to get somebody. Well, they came to get my husband. I didn't know that. And the next thing I knew, when I turned around, they were putting tubes down his throat so that he could breathe. And I was like, he was just talking. He's fine. What are you over dramatic for? What's going on? So anyway, they told me that they were going to be transporting him from a Mesquite hospital here in Texas to the Parkland Hospital, which is our trauma center. So they told me to meet them there. And so we did. I went out and I told everybody what happened. And so we all headed out to go to Parkland Hospital. We got to Parkland Hospital, and when we got there, they told me that he had coded on the way to the hospital, but they got him back, and that they were running tests, and it'll be a while before they can give me information on him. And I went and I sat and I was like, okay. So this was all happening so fast that it wasn't registering, I guess. I was just like, he'll be all right in the morning. Just give him a Tylenol. Let's go. I got to go to work in the morning. Anyway, they came back out. And the doctor said, it's very, very, very serious. If he makes it through the night, it'll be a miracle. But he had a brain bleed at the brain stem. What does that mean? So, did he have a stroke? What you talking about? Well, it's not a stroke. It's where it is one of the blood vessels at the stem of his brain opened. When he got in the shower, it relaxed too much, and it got and blood spilled out onto his brain, causing damage. Okay, now what? So again, critical condition in ICU, and if he makes it through the night, it'll be a miracle. But all we could do is continue to treat him and hope for the best. All right. Let me go process this. Let me go think about it for a minute. So, as you guys know, right then and there, my whole life is upside down, turned upside down. What do we do? How do we deal with this? I got 2 small children, 1 teenager. Yeah, what? So anyway, I go and I tell everybody out in the lobby what's happening. And so my children are taken by friends and family for the night, and they'll come back tomorrow. And so I stayed there, and there were my friends that stayed there with me. We stayed all night. We made pallets. They gave us this one room, and it was like a little family room, but we got a blow-up mattress, and we made it work. We stayed there all night. So the next day, still not good, still not responding. And they have to put in a shunt. It's like a tube that they put in his head to drain whatever fluid was collecting that came down and went into his stomach some kind of way. And it drained all the extra fluid from his head because his brain was swelling so. And it was like, okay. So they did that. So he had a cut from the middle of his head all the way down to the end of his, to almost his neck. Well, it was his neck. It was almost to his shoulder, I guess I could say, his shoulder blade. And so he had a long cut. He was, as I stayed in ICU, and he stayed there for a whole week. Then after he came out of ICU, he went into a regular room for another week, where for whatever reason, he just could not keep any clothes on. He was just hot, and he just could not keep any clothes on. His speech was mumbled beyond mumbled. I couldn't understand anything he said. My oldest had to tell me or break down what he was saying. So after that, we went to the nursing home. And this was a long-term care facility. And we got there, and they untied his hands as we got there. As soon as we got there, they untied his hands. He pulled the trach out of his throat, and immediately his throat began to close. And so I was like, no, he doesn't sound like that when he talks. And yeah, they need to get that trach back in, and we need that. And they were going really, really slow. I mean, really slow. And so finally, after me going and saying, look, this is not right. Something's wrong. We're going in the wrong direction. He was fine when he got here. This is not right. I need some help now. They got the EMS there, and they got him back to the hospital, where he coded again. Okay. So, got him okay, got him stable, got him back to the nursing home, got his hands tied down to the bed so he couldn't grab the trach out of it. But at that time, he didn't want to do any therapy whatsoever. He thought that we were mistreating him or abusing him, and he didn't want to do anything. And so therefore, the window for him to receive the therapy to get the strength back into his back muscles closed. And so there was no more opportunity for him to get the therapy. He did, however, learn to sit up, but he was in a wheelchair from there until the beginning of COVID. So he lived quite a long time. However, he developed dementia, Parkinson's. He already had diabetes, so he had kidney failure. He was on dialysis 3 times a week. And so, again, I had small children. And the doctor said there is no way he will ever be able to come home because he has no short-term memory at all. He doesn't even know that if he falls, he doesn't have the capacity to catch himself. And he's too heavy of a man for you to have to worry about him and the children. So you'll want to go ahead and look into long-term care for him, possibly for the rest of his life. Another blow. Okay, so what do I do as a mom with 3 kids? One is about to graduate high school. And then I have a younger one that is 8. And then I have a baby that's 10, 11 months old. What do I do? How do I make this work? How do I pay all the bills? How do I get out of this situation? What is going on? So I decided that, yeah, this was all too much for me. I needed help, and I needed help fast. So we moved to Arkansas with my parents. And we moved him to a nursing home in Arkansas. And yes, I did get the help that I needed. And yes, I was able to find a full-time job and take care of my children and do those type of things. However, I was not functioning normally. I was on a, what do you call it? Autopilot type of mode, where I was just doing because I knew I had to do. However, the care for myself, I wasn't able to do that. I was only able to care for my children in between the going to the nursing home and seeing him and making sure everything was okay. And so that's what this particular channel is going to be. At first, I thought that I was strong and I thought that I could make it. And, you know, people say that with time, all things heal. But no. I think that I felt stuck. I was heartbroken. I was lost. And you probably feel the same way. And I just want you to know that I'm here for you and I understand. I know what it's like to be over 50 and wondering what's going to happen next, or sharing my journey along with, you know, I'm going to be here to provide practical advice and help you move forward, because that's what I had to do. And although I'm not a licensed therapist or anything of that nature, my experience, I hope, will be able to offer you some type of comfort. And I would like to hear your journey. So I would like for you to go ahead and put comments in and let me know what it is that you're going through right now that is causing a stuck feeling or a feeling of pain. And let's go ahead and try to work through it together. Let's go ahead and try to be a sounding board for each other. So on this channel, what to expect? We're going to talk about real life stuff. We're going to talk about grief and money and pain and faith and dating and all those things that'll give us purpose again. And I'll continue to share my journey because, again, that wasn't the only thing that I've ever experienced as far as heartache, but I think that's one of the major ones. So we'll go more in depth as to how I dealt with it, what things I put into place on how to do it, and I'll give you some practical advice, as I stated, on how to move forward. So what I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, turn on the notifications, and let me and you walk this road together. And in the comments, again, tell me what things you're struggling with right now. And again, let's go ahead and, you know, tackle this journey as a group together. And I always want to leave you with something. You know, the road is hard and it seems like you can't get through it. I will be creating some digital information on how to get through grief, how to break it to your children, how to prepare for the funeral, what things it is to look for, or ask the doctor some of the things that you could do. So I will be preparing ebooks and PDFs and maybe even some courses on how to get through life. Maybe even some little quick cooking videos that, you know, help me through those tough nights. How to budget your money. A lot of people have lost their jobs, and I've done that before as well. I've been laid off and that type of thing. So we'll go ahead and go into detail with that. But I want you to always remember this. Keep climbing. Your success awaits. And I'll see you in our next video.